long since you played Northwestern. You're obviously a different team than you were then. How is Northwestern different?
Well, they're dramatically different. They don't have Leach and Barnheiser, so the other guys have really done a good job stepping up. You know, Wyndham and Clayton. And Ty Berry is has always been a really good player in our league. Has really taken his game to another level. Been really impressive to see.
Tom?
Frank, can you speak to that challenge? Because you've experienced that as well with losing a key piece during the season and having to adjust as a coach. What is that challenge like?
You come into the season, Tom. We felt like we had depth. I'm sure Chris felt like he had depth. I mean, you got a 6-year guy like Fitzmaurice who wasn't playing, and now he's playing really well. Mullins. I mean, it's an opportunity for other people. The Cheverino kid, the freshman, I was really impressed with him. Wasn't playing as much. Obviously, now he's playing more. So, you go to your next guys and you try to develop them and you try to figure out how they can blend with each other and still remain competitive and be a good team. So, Chris has done a good job of that. Very good.
Tyler?
Hi, Fran. Obviously you use the zone and the press at times during the game. Just how do you feel about how effective it's been and just your ability to kind of use it throughout a game?
It's been a very effective at times, not as effective at other times, and that's pretty standard. Uh, the three-quarter court press, you might get some turnovers, but typically it doesn't lead to breakdowns. The zone is a little bit more susceptible to breakdowns, especially if you're playing a team that can make threes, because there's a good chance if you go zone, teams are going to shoot threes against it. And in theory, that's why you play zone, so there's more jump shots. And quite frankly, that's why a lot of teams don't play a lot of zone because you are susceptible to the three ball. So, for us, it's been a good change of pace. Sometimes you go to it because you got a couple guys in foul trouble and you want to keep them on the floor. But for us, we've always been a changing defensive team and make teams, react to that.
David?
Fran, I've covered you long enough to know that you love to use the term sense of professionalism when it comes to your teams and how you kind of move from one game to the next. As a coach, how do you establish that professionalism culture? Does it go back to recruiting the right guys or just integrating it once they get on campus? I'm just curious about your insight.
Well, I think it's an interesting question, and I think it's collective. Okay, it's who's on your staff, and I think the point you just made, who are you recruiting? Uh, we have a locker room full of guys that want to be coached, they want to get better, they put the time in, they're an unselfish group, they truly love and support each other. If you see selfishness of any kind, you can't have that professionalism that you referenced. So you are at a different level than you've ever been. And this is what you chose. You wanted this. We wanted you. You wanted to play at this level, recognizing the challenges before you. So, in order to compete consistently, especially now with 18 teams in the league and so many different styles of play, so many different coaching styles and playing styles, you have to be able to process information, prepare for a game, play that game, make adjustments throughout the game, learn from that game, and then move on to the next. If you ever celebrate too much or get too down on yourself, you will never be successful moving forward.
Elliot?
Morning, Fran. I wanted to ask to see if you had an update on Drew and if you have any expectations for him to play on Friday.
Yeah, I would expect him to play on Friday. Yep.
Mike?
Fran, last night, excuse me, last night Mike Rhodes was very critical of the Big Ten for not letting every team play in the Big Ten tournament. Do you have any feelings about that?
Yeah, I stand with Mike on that. We stand together. The coaches were not in favor of that. I don't understand the reasoning for it. There are so many factors that happen throughout the course of a season that would impact your ability to potentially make the tournament or not. You know, let's say, for example, you've got some injured guys and they become healthy again. You know, you lose some games and then you get it turned around, but you don't have enough. Uh, I think everybody that signs to play in the Big Ten should have an opportunity to play in the Big Ten tournament. It's not that much more money. It's not that much more planning. Uh, and I just don't understand the reasoning behind it. It makes no sense. We voiced that opinion. And I don't know exactly what Mike said, but whatever he said, I agree with him.
He used the word horse shit.
I would never use that word, Mike. You know me well.
I'm just telling you what
I may
he
have
said.
used that in the past. Well, I'll say what he said.
Tyler.
We've seen Owen go from a larger wrap to like a smaller one, and it looks like he doesn't have anything on there now. How's just his recovery going?
He was actually shooting yesterday, so he was able to catch the ball, shoot the ball. You know, it's coming well. It's one of those things where essentially it's a 2 to 3 month rehab before you can go out and compete and risk somebody chopping your hand and getting a similar situation that happened before it completely heals. But he's progressing well. Yeah.
All right, final question, Coach Elliott.
Fran, I know minutes for Sadhu have been kind of all over the place, but he played quite a bit the other night. What stood out to you that had you keeping him on the floor against Illinois?
I thought his energy level was there. For him, I think he has the ability to impact the game in a lot of ways, but it starts with how hard he plays, his energy level on a consistent basis. Because he's a skilled guy, he can dribble, pass, and shoot. He defends, he can defend multiple positions, and that's why we recruited him, and that's where I think his strength is moving forward. So I just encourage him to play the game, trying to impact every possession with his length, with his athleticism. And when he does that, he's going to stay on the floor.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.